Hello my darlings, welcome back to my channel. I am Amanda and I am trying to get better at making art. Today we're going to make some easy and relaxing art using acrylic markers. I love using acrylic markers to make something pretty and effortless. In fact, I have a full wall of art that I've made using acrylic markers and these cheap canvas boards that I can get from the dollar store. I'm using my Posca pens for this, but there are many cheaper alternatives that you can use instead. Most of the art on my wall I used with a Sharpie acrylic set, and I also found the dollar store set for about $5 that was not as pigmented, but they worked just fine. On the other hand, I got this small set from Temu for like $8, and they're basically useless because the nib is very thin and it doesn't have a lot of ink. Now, one of my favorite things to do with acrylic markers is getting these cheap canvas sets from the dollar store. This set of 3 costs me $1.50 and they are pretty good, pretty sturdy, and I have a full wall of art that I made with acrylic markers using these. So that is what we're going to do today. Now, even though these boards are pretty sturdy, you will want to tape the edges because that's going to give you a border and I think it makes it look nicer. We're gonna get started with our gold and we're gonna make some lines. The other time I tried to make something similar to this, I tried to make one continuous line, but that got messy. So we're just gonna pretend it's a continuous line going up and down the border and making some loops. Then once it's done, we're gonna use our pink to make some dots on the left side of these lines. And then we're gonna use our red one to make some dots on the right side of these lines. If you're thinking of buying a Posca set, but you're worried about it because they are too expensive, I recommend getting this smaller set with black, white, gold, and silver because you will want these colors to be very pigmented. And I thought it was looking a little too empty, so I used my black one to put a single dot inside each loop. And even though I would still get a border from removing the tape, I wanted to use my black marker to just go around it and make a proper border. And I thought the inside of the circles were looking a little too empty, so I decided to add a few more golden dots inside. And then I'm going to remove the tape. And that's our first one. Now for this one, after taping the edges, we're just going to make one continuous line moving from up to down, and I made 3 loops. Now inside each loop I'm going to make some dots with my gold, and then much like before we're going to put some red dots on the right side of the page, but this time we're gonna fill the entire page, not just next to the black line. And I forgot to record this, but I did use a pink one to fill out the other side. This does require a little bit of patience, but I just like to sit on my couch, take one of these boards, and just keep doing some dots while watching something on TV, and that's just very relaxing for me. And once again, we're gonna make a border around it, because I think it's going to define it a little better. And then we're just gonna have to peel. For our third one, and you don't have to do this, you could use a ruler, but I do have some thinner masking tape that I got for this purpose. I'm gonna use this thinner masking tape to put some lines inside the board and make a geometric pattern. I'm not following any rules here, I'm just trying to make some interesting shapes. And once I'm satisfied with it, I'm just going to take my pink marker and I'm gonna color in some of the spaces. And after that is done, I'm gonna use my red. and then my black one. And I don't want the colors to touch, they can only touch at the corners. And because of this, I ended up with an empty space at the bottom, so I decided to use a little gold. And because this was looking a little too empty, I continue to use my gold to make some circles, and I think that contrasts really nice with the sharp edges. But I still wasn't satisfied, so of course I had to bring out some dots. And this might be the most satisfying peeling I've ever done. This third one, we did something similar last week with watercolors. We're just going to use our marker to make some patterns. You can draw a line to indicate where the color should stop, but I honestly didn't bother. We're just having fun here. Now after the first one is done, and for the first one I was using this pink to make some straight lines, but also some U shapes. Then with a black one, I'm just gonna make some tiny waves. And with my gold, I decided to make a few spirals with some dots. I tried to keep the spirals from touching, but I tried to fill as much of the space as I could. And then finally with the red, I was a little lost, so I just made some semicircles, kind of like when you throw a rock in a lake and you just get the little waves, and that's what I was going for. Instead of dots, I'm gonna try and continue the pattern as much as I can on the inside. And now all you have to do is peel. And now I'm gonna go back to my dots because you know I love my dots. Before we were trying to keep the dots from touching, but that is not what we're going to do right now. We're going to use dots to create a base. I'm gonna start with the pink and fill as much of the page as I can. Then I'm going to take my red one and do the same thing in the spaces left between the pink. And if they overlap, that is fine. Then I'm gonna use my black, and I'm not gonna use it as much, but I am going to use it to fill out the space. But this is still not enough, so I'm gonna bring the pink back and I'm gonna keep covering as much of the white space as I can. And once I'm done with the pink, I'm gonna bring the red back and continue with the same process. And once I think that everything is covered, I'm gonna take my gold and just add a few dots here and there just to make it a little more interesting. And finally, when I'm satisfied with the background, I am going to use my white Posca marker to create a sort of tree design in front of it. My white Posca marker is a little old, so it was leaking a lot, so usually I just pump it on the side of the page and I use that to draw the tree. And after that, we just have to peel, and you don't have to draw a border for that one because the dots are going to do all of the work. I'll be honest, I almost scraped this last one. When I'm making art, I found that there is always a moment when everything looks ugly because the colors aren't right and everything looks streaky and nothing is blended yet. And this happens with every medium. I've experienced this with watercolors and alcohol markers and acrylic markers, or just a pencil. And you just gotta push through and keep going until it looks better. Some days though, it's just ugly, and that is what happened here. I was just going to make some lines and fill the canvas with it, but I couldn't keep them straight, so I tried to color in, but I just smudged everything together and I hated it, and I seriously thought that I would just keep this video to the first 5 pieces. However, the truth is, ugly art happens. I would say I make more ugly art than I make perfect, mistake-free art. I even put some of the ugly art on my wall because I'm still kind of proud of it. Sometimes you think an idea will pan out and it doesn't, and other times your hand is tired and you can't keep a straight line, and that's fine, you can just throw it away, and sometimes I do, but today I kept going. While I was making this, I was watching some essays on AI art, and I guess that made me a little bit spiteful. It is unfortunate, but you can't skip the process if you want to make art, and mistakes are a part of it. Ugly art is a part of it. So I kept it in, and then I added a bunch of dots because making dots makes me happy. Now, do I think this is pretty? Absolutely not. I can see everything that is wrong with it. But I made it. It is mine, and the next time I try something similar, I guess I'll know a little better. And that, my darlings, was everything I had for you today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you next week.